Hello and welcome to this Q&A and why.
Hello everyone.
I'm Reto Robotron 3000, standing in for Ken Solo, who's unfortunately homesick. And with me today is Reto.JM.
Hello everyone.
So today we'll do what we usually do. We'll just do a quick section on news. Then we'll talk about the direction of Reto-moto and where we're going, and we'll take some questions that we got from you guys. So let's get going. Since the last time we were online, here on Twitch, we have released the letter from the CEO number 3. That let me see, I can show you like this one. That's kind of the reason we're here today, to talk about that. We also did the development overview and made that public. There's a blog post on that, and you can actually find the development overview here. We'll get back to that in a while. And just earlier today, we opened the factory map update on Prototype, so you can jump in and give that a spin and take a look at the updated factory map. It's really awesome, I think. So there's some great stuff in there. So jump in and take a look at that as soon as you have the time. But let's move on. Over to you. The directions of Reto-moto.
Thank you, Jesper. So it's a first for me, and I appreciate everyone who joins to listen to me answer your questions. Before I do that, I thought I would give you a little bit of an introduction or a background on who I am. I spent more time than I would like to admit working in the game industry, both in MMOs and free-to-play games, both on PC and mobile. I'm proud to be the CEO of Heroes and Generals and of Reto-moto, and who's doing Heroes and Generals. I understand that the community is passionate, not only for their characters and what they do in the game, but also for their factions and for the game in general. And that's really good to have a passionate community around us. Jesper mentioned that I'm trying to write a letter from time to time to you guys. The last one came out last week. I encourage you to take a look at it, take a good read at it. For those of you who didn't have the chance to read it yet, I thought I would just mention a few items that I wrote there. I think it's important to understand that we've done a lot in the past few months. You know, I have a little bit of a cheat sheet here. We released 108, 109, and 110, so 3 versions with 3 releases, I should say. With new planes, leaderboards, helmet, paints and covers, level design tweaks, and a lot of other stuff. We fixed a lot of tweaks, we opened the prototype server. I think you mentioned a new map that is available for playing there right now. We also launched Operation Glasnost. We had the Insider Summit, which went really good, I think. We had a minority investment from NFG of $5 million that is helping us, deliver. Yeah, what else do I have here? We also released a new corporate website, a new company website, where we talk about our values and our mission. By the way, our core values, we really believe in them. This is an exercise that we've done internally. That we enjoyed doing. It's a little hard to do, but we are happy with the result, and we really believe in those values. I want to make sure that you don't think it's some kind of marketing stunt or anything like that. We really embrace that, and hopefully very soon you'll see the result of those guiding core principles for our company in the game itself. Then the last point I wanted to make on that is the what I called in the letter the mission critical tasks. If you put the production, the development overview, you will have some elements of those or that represent those in the list. But basically, the gist of it is that the team has been focusing really hard for the past 2 years in delivering the game, features and content to the players. And unfortunately, the backend and the pipelines and what we call the middleware has been taking a little bit of a backseat, and we really need to get that back to a standard that is good for us, so to a good foundation for us to deliver what you expect as players. So as I explained in the letter, those tasks are pretty comprehensive and complicated. We talked about the war server refactoring, which is all the strategy part of the game that requires us to work on the framework that hosts all those features, so it can actually grow in its complexity or grow in its feature set. The UI framework as well, we need to make sure of the same, so we can be more agile in modifying and improving the UI system. We have also some legal requirements to be compliant with new laws that are coming in place, etc. Read the letter, you'll get more information about it, but we hope you'll be patient with all the good work we're doing, and that you'll see the result of it in the game very soon. On that note, maybe we should go to the questions.
Yeah, I think one of the things we skipped here is we talked about the NFG investment and recruiting new talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, you're right. It's important to mention that we are looking for new talent. We didn't post all the job descriptions yet on our website, but as Jesper is showing you there, we are looking for 3 different talents right now: a senior server backend programmer, an experienced QA engineer, and an experienced environment artist. This is just the beginning. We'll add more job descriptions as we go. We've already recruited a bunch of people, and I think 5 since I joined, and we continue to grow to make sure the team is composed of the best talent in the industry, but also of the right mix that allows us to deliver what you guys deserve as players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go to the questions. And when we put up the letter from the CEO, there was a link to a form where you could ask questions. This time, normally for Q&A and Y, when we get a lot of questions, we go into a voting round where people can kind of upvote what's more important, and then we'll start from the top of that. This time we didn't get so many questions, so we can get through all of them. Let's just start from the beginning.
So we have, how many questions do we have? 10?
We have 10
11?
questions.
12?
Yeah.
10? Okay, 10.
10 questions asked here.
Shoot.
First question is from Malinxia, and please excuse me if I pronounce your name wrong. I know most of these gamer tags are made for writing and not for speaking, so some of them are a bit hard to pronounce. But Malinxia, I think it is, asks, what's your inspiration to make Heroes and Generals?
Great question. Maybe I should clarify one thing, which is I didn't make Heroes and General. I have to give that to the team because I just joined last August, so I can't take that from them. That said, I think the inspiration for making the game is definitely coming from passion. Spending time with the team, I know that they're really passionate and dedicated to this game. For me, my inspiration is having the opportunity to work on shaping the future of large-scale multiplayer. You know, for me, Heroes in General needs to become the ultimate World War II experience, and I'm very inspired by that. I think the entire team is. I hope the entire team is, and we are working really hard towards that. So. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I think it's a good answer.
Hopefully it answers your question.
And it adds to the ultimate World War II experience. Is that it's not the game about the best submarines only, or planes only, or tanks only. It's like the World War II experience. It's a combined arms. It's infantry and tanks and planes, and hopefully in the future, not right now, no promises, submarines and aircraft carriers and so on. That would be something that would be really, really great sometime in the future. But again, it's encompassing everything. So let's go to the next one. Binson is asking, before their investment, did you advise Nordisk, as an NFG, to make their 5 million investment through the purchase of gold? They could have had 1.5 billion in gold that could have been also invested into war bonds.
I didn't think about that. Sorry,
We need to
Binson. I should have probably have. I regret it deeply now. That would have been kind of a double investment. As I think about it, maybe there's a business model there. You know, I don't think there's any company who has been invested in with virtual currency as of yet. So maybe you got something, Binson, here. That's a good idea.
That's good. Moving on to the next question. Daniel Bob 999. What does success look for you as the CEO of Reto-moto?
Good question. I think there's a lot of different ways you can define success, but for me, the more meaningful way or the first step to define success is happiness or engagement from players. So the more we have players who have fun playing the game or enjoying the experience, the more the game can be deemed as successful. There's a lot of other ways to define success, but I think this is the kind of the cornerstone for us of success. We want everyone to enjoy the game as much as possible, and this is, you know, to get that, we need to deliver this experience so you guys enjoy it. So we know we have a lot of work to do, but there's already a very good base, and we'll work on it to make it even better every day.
Yeah, so that fits in really well with the Operation Glasnost as well. That
Absolutely.
You know, if we're transparent and you guys can see what we're doing, we hope you like it. If you have concerns, you can voice them. We'll listen, and we'll follow up on it. Like, yeah, take an example. One of the things we talked about earlier today was the weapon configuration stats. As part of this openness, people like how do weapons work, and so how is this configured, and so on and so forth, and maybe are you changing things without telling us? And so it's like, why don't we just release the numbers?
Yeah.
And we did the deep dive. I'm promoting myself.
Yeah,
now,
I know you.
And
I watched that stream.
Reto.Cristiano.
It was good.
From digging into like how do these weapons work and how do we get that information out, and that's and part of that is again getting this openness. We don't want to just, you know, throw a bunch of numbers on the table and, oh yeah, you figure out how they fit together, because that's not going to help anyone. But give the numbers to you with an explanation, tell you how does it work, because and we get a lot of good feedback. So I guess that really fits into that whole vision as well. So let's move on to the next question. Adeneo, I think it should be pronounced, asks, do you only look on your game, or are you scared about upcoming World War II games, or do you see inspiration in other games?
Yeah, so we're just maybe to clarify, we are not motivated by fear. We're not scared about our competitors. I think we are. It's more the other part of the question that is interesting for us. It's like of course, we are inspired. We find our inspiration in a lot of different things, and we definitely look at our competitors. We are curious. We also want to define who we are and be, you know, proud to be to do things for the players and for ourselves the way we think is right. But we are not interested in reinventing the wheels. You know, again, finding inspiration for what we do is in everything. You know, in books, in movies, in other games, and I'm sure, I hope, other games also find inspiration in what we do. You know, it's an exchange, but we're not a denier of our competition or of what I call familiarity. You know, players who go into a game and go in another, they may be used to do it a certain way, and there's no reason for us to reinvent that way if it works somewhere else. So there's definitely a familiarity that we want to take advantage of, and I'm sure, you know, when you talk about innovation, someone invents a new feature or launch something, it's going to define a new way of doing things, and other companies, other people will inspire from it. And I think it's a natural thing, and it's good.
Yeah, and there's some things that it's become a convention that you normally use the left mouse button for shooting and the right one for aiming. And
yeah, we're not going to change that.
Not going to change around.
No, please, don't do it.
No, what, random? We just randomize the keys every time.
I don't recommend it.
Okay. It would be new.
It would.
Not good though.
No.
Yeah, no, we won't
Probably
do that.
not. Don't do it.
Moving on, question from Dr. Guillemot. I think I pronounced that right?
Yeah.
I practiced. Will Reto-moto stay an independent company?
We don't. So it's interesting. I should mention. It kind of throws me off, the name Guillemot, because the CEO of Ubisoft, a company that I spent 7 years working at, his name is Guillemot. Is Yves Guillemot. So if it's you, Yves, no, I'm joking. But it might be someone from his family. I don't know. It's funny. And specifically in the context of being independent, so I don't think we wake up in the morning asking ourselves if we want to remain independent or if we want to be acquired, or this is not our focus. Our focus right now is heroes and generals, and to make the best or the ultimate World War II experience. We really mean it, and we're working hard on this. So that's kind of the main focus for us. It's interesting at the same time to think about being independent, because we thrive to do the best, but also it's cool to be independent because we define our own destiny. So that's an advantage of being independent. But I think the answer is that we are not really focusing on whether we're going to stay independent or not. That's not the focus right now.
Okay, sure. Moving on to the next question. Yeah. Kevin Nahuel, sorry, 2010. I've seen you on the forums, and I haven't figured out how to pronounce your name yet. Asks, have you got any new employees or people signing up for any of your jobs recently? Also, what's the status of the pipeline change?
Oh, so he had 2 questions.
Yeah.
Special treatment, I guess.
Yep.
That's nice. All right. We have hired, I think, 5 people since I joined, ranging from QA artists, and engineers or programmers. We are working, as I think I said a little bit, I talked a little bit about that at the beginning. We are working on new job descriptions that we're going to post on our website. We'll make sure that you guys know when we do that. We have a plan to hire more talents pretty aggressively in 2018 to help us again deliver everything that we need to deliver. So the first question is answered by yes, I guess. The second, what is the second question?
Also, what's the status of the pipeline?
So I'm interpreting this as status of the pipeline. It's a mission critical.
Yeah,
task
mission critical, and I'm thinking probably we mentioned, and I know Reto.RedBjarne mentioned earlier that we're moving out of some deprecated software and into other software and so on. That's I know. Well,
I would just invite you to look at the production update now that is it the production or development update? How do I call it? Development.
Yeah.
I really invite you to look at the development update. That's giving you a good view on what we're working on. But to give you a quick update, I mean, we are making good progress. I'm really encouraged by the effort that the team is pushing on this. However, some items are gonna probably take a little more time than what we were hoping. So I'm gonna ask you guys to be patient with us. It's quite complex for us to work on these foundational technologies and at the same time run a service. The priority is the service. It needs to be up. It needs to be performing for you guys. So we don't want to impact that. So we have to be careful when we work on those tasks.
Yeah, also to make sure that we don't break things while working on something new, or say, oh, we're turning off being able to deploy in the action game for the next X updates. Like, no,
that's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. So, but actually in On the development overview, on the in development section, you can see there's a section here called pipeline upgrade, with, for instance, there's graphics and physically based rendering (PBR), property editor, and some other things in the tech upgrade and so on. So it's stuff that's being worked on.
And I think we'll update that development overview on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
On a monthly basis, yeah.
So we'll spend time to put you up to date on all this.
Yeah, I know. Regarding just as a fun extra note on pipeline update, you were talking about earlier. I'm looking at Reto calling, who's behind the camera, because you're part of the pipeline upgrade as well. You mentioned that you were moving part of the animation rig from one piece of software to another. So that's also one of these things that you can't see it in the game, but it's something we have to do it. And once it's done, it'll allow us to move faster, move forward a lot faster, and so on. So it's one of the things. I just remember we talked about this early this morning. So moving on to the next question from TAUZ or TAUZ, I don't know, TAUUZ. The Nordisk Film Games is really making the difference in the company. Or is the Nordisk Film Games really making the difference?
Yeah, there's a question mark somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Well, we are happy so far with the partnership with NRG. I think they've been great with us. They're great support. We definitely see the benefit, of course, of having them around, not only for the liquidity that they bring in the company, but also with their expertise in the game industry. They have invested in other game companies, and we are looking forward to having them participate to our board meetings and to the future, of course, define the future of the company with us. So far, so good.
Yeah, that answers that. Next question is from Marv 2.0.
Marv, I know that name. Marv, yes. Marv was at the Insider Summit, right? Yes. Hi, Marv. Did he bring the chocolates? Thanks for the chocolates, Marv.
Austrian chocolate. Yes.
Really good.
And actually send us some more afterwards that I haven't.
Very generous of you, Marv.
Seems to be sitting on my desk.
Yeah, but, it looks like I didn't get access to those yet.
No, you haven't.
You're kind of you're keeping them for yourself.
You haven't unlocked them on the chocolate ribbon
yet. I guess
yet.
I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah. We're sharing them for a Good Friday occasion to share the chocolate.
Okay. So yeah, good to know.
Let's get to the question. Again, Marv 2.0 asks, if you will develop a new game, at what stage do you think the customer will be able to give feedback and thus influence how the game develops? Essentially asking from the point of where you haven't written a single line of code until the release stage.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there.
Yeah. So maybe just to give a sense of timeline on this. So we are not working on a new game right now. We're not at that stage yet. Again, we are very focused on Heroes and Generals. But yeah, I did mention in the past that we are going to do that. We will do that in the future, but not in 2018. This is not in the plan right now. When it happens, though, definitely we want to involve the community at the right time, but as early as possible. That's what I can tell you. There's a lot of different ways to kind of skin that cat, but I think the ideas need to come from within. The team needs to be motivated by their own ideas. And then when we have something that we feel is solid, we'll find out a process to share it with the community. And then you guys are going to help us make it even better.
I think
that's what I would recommend.
That make me, who has sits part of the development as well and kind of in between, makes a lot of sense.
Good.
We need to have something for you to comment on before we start commenting, because otherwise we
can't blue sky this.
No.
We need to go through a process. It's important if we want to be successful.
Moving on, next question is from F1 Demon. Will Reto-moto also consider other genres, such as games based in antiquity, such as Rome or Greece, in a massive multiplayer online game format?
So another setting, basically. Well, everything's possible, I guess. Depends on the creativity of the team. I would say that as long as it participates in defining the future of large-scale multiplayer entertainment, I'm in. As long as it pleases the team and motivates them as well, I'm in. But our focus as a company is large-scale multiplayer entertainment. Our focus right now is a subset of that, which is the ultimate World War II entertainment experience. We believe that we have a large-scale world in the World War II era that provides a unique way of playing this type of game. So if we do another game, it will have to be something that is probably within that idea of a large-scale multiplayer game. So it might be Rome or Greece or or something else, but again, yes, maybe that's the answer, I guess.
Oh, you mean, yeah, if we just use Roman legionnaires, we could use the same strategy map, just move around in like Germania.
Move it a little bit slightly and call it a day, right?
Gallic Wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish it was that simple, but...
legionnaires and consuls, or centurions.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
Don't influence the team, okay? Let them just, you know, we'll take our time on this.
We're not at the point yet where we are asking for feedback from the community.
No, we are not, anyway. But it's, you know, you can ask questions. Yeah. It's fine. I'll answer them.
And the last question we have here is from Van Groenen, who asks, I would like to know when you stop discriminating against German players and treat each player the same.
Okay. So there's a kind of two different parts to answer, I think, this question. First of all, I mean, I hope everyone will understand that we have absolutely no benefit in discriminating any faction, right? There's or weapon or vehicle for that matter. This is just like it's a lose-lose situation for us. We have no interest in doing that. We understand that the game is going to be fun if it's fun for everybody, right? So it's important to make that very clear that we don't have, as individuals in that team, the will or the malign you know, thoughts of being discriminating versus a faction or another. However, and that's the second part of my answer, I think it's important to acknowledge any how do you call that in English? I was about to say allegations, but you know, if you have the feeling or if you have the perception, that's what I wanted to say. If you have the perception that there is a discriminating factor in our game for a faction or another, I encourage you to go in the forums and explain very precisely why do you feel that way, and we'll always take it very seriously and we will investigate it and we'll try to make it good for everybody. That's what we're doing all the time. You know, balancing a game is it's a very long effort and it's an everyday effort and it's kind of a part of the service. It's not like we do it once and now it works. Every time we add new features or new content, we have to work on the balancing. Every release, we work on balancing a little bit to make sure that everything's fair, whether it's a weapon or a vehicle or a faction, right? But definitely, I will also recognize, maybe there is a third part actually to this answer, now that I think about it. From a war perspective, it's fair to say, I think, that Germany is a little bit squeezed in between the two other factions, right? They have two different fronts to kind of manage. That's tough, right? And I know I've discussed this with Reto-JM, do you call it
Red-Bjarne?
Yeah. And again, it's hard. So we're trying to figure it out by, we moved, I think, the capital cities around, not the starting cities around a little bit. You know, we're trying to make it work for Germany as well. I mean, we don't feel that there is an immense discrimination because of that map of the war that we didn't make Europe, right? This is the way it was during the war. So, so we want to inspire from some elements of reality, although we are not a simulation of war. We are providing a piece of entertainment with elements of reality in it. But yeah, I mean, we acknowledge that there is a need for us to continuously balance, whether it's at the war level, at the general level, or at in the action game. It's super important for us to take this seriously. But the best way for you guys to communicate with us about this is to go in the forums, and specifically explain what you feel is not working for you particularly. And I would say one more thing. I think we can solve this, guys, together. And the way we do it is that we need to be transparent. We've been transparent with the weapon configuration. I think you mentioned that earlier. We want to continue to share more stuff with you guys. It's a lot of work for us to prepare all that data and present it to you in a consistent, coherent way, so you can understand it. So it's fun to watch and to analyze. But there is no reason why we wouldn't share more. And we will do that to show you that this is how we balance the game. This is how we balance. I don't know if we can share vehicles or whatever, but we should. If we can. Anything we can share with you to make you confident that we are really working on the numbers so it makes sense for all of you, we should. Because there's no wide, just so you know, there's no conspiracy of Reto-moto and Heroes and Generals team that is basically trying to discriminate a faction or another. I mean, you know, I'm French. What can I tell you? You know,
I think it's really important to touch upon, because one of the things, again, it doesn't make sense for us to discriminate against a faction. We want, in an ideal world, we would like basically each faction to win more or less a third of the battles and more or less a third of the wars. That would probably be the most fun for everybody. So that's kind of where we would like to be. Of course, it depends a lot on the players. It depends on both the amount of players on each faction, their skill, both in the action game and playing the war game.
I was about to say, sorry to interject, because I think you touched on something very important. I think skills is the center of our game, and it's all about skills. If a player is really highly skilled, he's gonna make a big difference in the war. And those players who are really well organized in clans or what have you, and who have a strategy of combat, which is very important on our maps. You can't just go in like you would in a very fast-paced first-person shooter. You have to really think strategically how you're gonna basically get on that map and how you're gonna win. So those who are really well organized, you know, they usually win.
Yeah, and especially what's equally, or if not more important, they win the right battles.
It's not about the amount of battles you win. Actually, no, you're right. It's winning the right battles. That's our game.
Yeah, and it's the battle might go back and forth. Some suburb of Copenhagen changing hands 50 times, but that doesn't really matter if the third faction is encircling you, taking all the major cities and winning the war while you're battling it out over some corner of the map. That might be fun, it might be great battles, but strategically they're not really that important. And I'm following up on we released the weapon configuration data. One of the things that I'm working on with that is to kind of create a pipeline for it, so that I make sure that whenever we do an update to the game, I release the new weapon configuration data, whether they're changed or not, but just these are the weapon configuration data that belongs to this update. So that you can go in, you can compare them, you can do diffs against them if you want to do that. One of the other things that one of the other things that are on my list is the weapon upgrades. We released the weapon configuration and for the weapons and the ammos and the different ammunition types. And I'd very much like to release all the configuration data on the weapon upgrades. So I'm trying to figure out a good way to structure that, to make it accessible, to make it to make it something you can use, and so that it's not just like the 5 people in the community who work with statistics on an everyday basis that can use it, but so it's kind of like broadly accessible. And suggestions on that is of course very, very welcome. And thinking of this discrimination and balance, I think sometimes also when we say that something, yes, we've heard that there's been a number of complaints about something being unbalanced. When we later investigate and go out and say that yes, but they are balanced, please believe us. It's not, if they were unbalanced, we would say yes, we probably word it in a bit careful and say, yes, there seems to be an issue. We definitely need to investigate it more, and we'll dig into it and we'll get something done.
Yeah, we take it seriously. I think that's the point.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we investigate, and I'm glad that we come back to the players with a meaningful answer or some kind of good feedback. Data speaks better than words, I think. Yeah. So when we can, we should share more data with the players. Yeah. There's no other way, I think, to make it even. And then again, on the world level, we'll do everything we can to keep the effort on making it fair for everyone. And
for configuration data, yes, vehicle configuration data, it's on my to-do list. It's really something I want to get out there. I don't know if it's going to be before the vehicle gameplay update or after. Personally, I prefer it to be after, because when we change everything, I'd have to do another dev stream explaining in detail how everything works.
Yeah, it's probably better for the players to play it for themselves and then get the data so that justify it. Yeah.
That keeping it in a kind of realistic time frame of that's probably what's going to happen.
Makes sense.
So that's what we're going to look at. So those were the questions we had.
It felt shorter than I thought.
Yeah, it is. We went very fast today.
I hope I was not too short with my answers, guys. You tell me. Next time I'll do better if I was too short.
Yeah. So do you have any closing comments on this?
Yes, I was thinking so first of all, thank you everyone for sending your questions. I hope we do it again. I think it was fun for me. I enjoyed answering them, and being in touch with all of you as much as I can is also part of what I enjoy the most. I'm excited to be the CEO of a company that has a game with such a passionate community. I'm looking forward to see you in game. On that note, I play the game from time to time. I'm still learning the game, so please, if you encounter Reto.JM in the game, don't be too tough on me, please. That's all I have to say.
Okay. So to recap, today we talked about the news, letter from the CEO, and a few other really interesting things. We talked a bit about the direction of Reto-moto and where we are heading and where you see the company going. We followed up with the questions to the letter from the CEO. And if you missed the beginning of this, you can watch it on YouTube from tomorrow morning European time. Get it online there. And you can follow us on Twitch. I am supposed to point, I think it's about there, somewhere right there. I got a nod from behind the camera, that's fine.
Do we know when the next stream is?
Yes, I'll get to that in just a short while. You can also find us, of course, on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and on heroesandjournals.com. Next Wednesday, it'll be a new Q&A session with Reto.RedBjarne and Reto.Gargamel. They're going to be back with Q&A number 12 with your regular answers concerning all the nitty-gritty details of the game and what's happening there. So,
by the way, just to clarify something, I'm not in a competition with Reto.Bjarne. It's impossible to compete with him. So I'm not even trying. So just like someone asked me, are you in a competition with
a beard competition?
I am not. I'm not doing a beard competition at all. I cannot compete with him. It's impossible.
Well, this is just for warmth.
Exactly. It's for winter. It's a winter outfit. That's all.
That's good. So have a great week. See you in game. Make a difference, and don't shoot Reto.JM too much. Not too much. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.